Welcome to Day Zero.
Today on Day Zero, we're joined by Scott Nowell, who is the co-founder of The Monkeys, the Sydney-born creative agency that went from a startup to Australia's most awarded creative powerhouse. From humble beginnings around a trestle table in 2006 through industry-shaking campaigns for brands like Telstra, Qantas, and more. The Monkeys redefined what an ad agency could be. In 2017, they joined forces with Accenture, and it's now called Accenture Song. Yet, as Scott will tell us, he managed to preserve the renegade culture that made them special. After 17 years of pivoting, innovating and winning every major award, Scott has now stepped away, but the legacy remains. Today, we dive into the story behind the agency, what it took to build it, and what it meant to merge into a global consulting giant, and what's next for advertising over the next 2 decades. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
Also joining us today is Angus Ferguson, who's the founder of Found It. Thanks for
Benny.
joining us, Angus.
Thank you. Let's get into it.
Yeah, do you want to dive into...
Far away, mate. You're leading the charge today on this
You got
one.
the questions right there. You got the facts good.
Absolutely.
Well done so far.
So I've known you for a long time, full disclosure, quite a few years, but from your advertising sort of perspective, I remember you and Justin over at FCB, I think it was, in that beautiful Harry Seidler building, sort of busily scribbling away on some Jeep campaigns. Tell us about sort of how that began and what made you and Justin sort of step away and set up the Monkeys.
Well, okay. Big questions to begin with. And yes, we have known each other a long time. We went to kindergarten together and graduated Avalon Public School in 1985. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Still have the pennant. Good question. That was actually Bozell Worldwide, which was the Sydney branch of a global advertising company. And that was the first job that I had in advertising. And I'd been working there for free, which you used to be able to do. Under modern slavery laws, you can't. But I was very grateful for that, getting the experience, trying to get into the creative side of advertising. Met Justin there, Justin Drape, who was my work partner and one of the co-founders of the Monkeys alongside Mark Green. And yeah, so we sort of cut our teeth there. We got our first job. I think we were offered $24,000 a year and we managed to pump it up to 26. And instantly it was one of those things where, personally, I just thought, okay, this is something I can do and I can get better at and do well, and I can see a path here. The entrepreneurial stuff, I think, my old man was a builder and he was in real estate, and he always said, you've got to work for yourself at some point. And Justin had a similar mindset, and we went from Bozell Worldwide, we went to FCB Melbourne, got hired back at Saatchi's in Sydney, and we met Mark, who was a senior account manager there and was running new business, I think. And I think it was the first or second time he walked into our office and said, have you guys ever thought about starting a business? And we pulled out our business cards for Catapult Creative Communications, which it sounded better in the 90s. But we were like, yep, we absolutely are. And it was a few years later that we all left to join start the Monkeys.
And back then you were, I guess, known as Three Drunk Monkeys.
We were.
What was the reason for that? I remember you had a pretty good anecdote about how people would have to talk about paying you guys at some stage.
Yeah, well, we were writing a TV show while we were at Saatchi Saatchi, and eventually left Saatchi's, and we were doing that, and Andrew Denton was the EP. It's called 30 Seconds. It was about advertising, a lot of navel gazing there. But we wanted something, a little bit like Working Dog to have on the end of the credits. And so we were thinking, Three Drunk Monkeys would be good. I think Justin might have come up with that at an advertising award show, because everyone's running around like drunk monkeys, and we just maybe thought we were three of them. He might have to get us the true story there. But we thought that was kind of funny. And there's advertising is full of places that Saatchi Saatchi, FCB. It's all acronyms and founders' names.
Yep.
We just thought at that time that it'd be kind of good to have something different, and picked up some clients. One of which was Foxtel, and we just like walking into the reception of some big building, some huge client, and whoever was on reception would have to say, 3 drunk monkeys are here to see you.
And obviously there was a name change over time to the Monkeys, which was what most people know it as these days before the Accenture acquisition.
Yeah, that's right. And that came about, I think we like to say that it was because we wanted our email addresses shorter, but really the pressures of working for alcohol and government clients meant that no, we were being left off pitch lists essentially, and everyone called us the Monkeys anyway. So that a couple of words we lost there.
Yeah. And so you're known as being a creative powerhouse. What set you apart as insofar as your sort of creative mindset, and what did you want the Monkeys to stand for back when you and Justin were at that table? What was going through your mind?
Well, I think when it's a good question. It's hard to, you say the word powerhouse, but it was 3 guys sitting around a table like this. Actually, it was much worse than this. It was
In Surrey Hills?
It was in Redfern, back before Redfern was gentrified. And, there was a big blood stain on the foyer when we first walked in to rent the space with a designer, and we had an old door on trestles and one internet connection that we would have to share if we wanted to send an email. And so it was just us sitting around. But I guess we'd worked on big brands before at these different places, and we just thought we can do better than what we were doing at these big agencies. So there's no reason why we couldn't do it for ourselves. Perhaps naively, but sometimes I think you'd probably agree, naivety can be your friend when you...
Totally. Yeah, I think sometimes it's better if you don't know going into things than rather than knowing what's ahead of you at sometimes, because you might have not done it at the time. Talk to us about who your first client was and how you won them. Coming out of being able to leverage the big brand and the powerhouse to being 3 guys working with one internet cable.
Yeah. So we were contacted by Foxtel because of some work we'd done for Fox Sports at Saatchi, and we'd left, and I think one of the clients there went, hold on, where did those guys go? And contacted us directly, and we started doing a few campaigns for them. And then we were asked to actually pitch on a bigger part of their business, at which point Saatchi Saatchi tried to sue us. I mean, and we'd all put $10,000 in each to kick things off. And I think the Saatchi sued us, and then we spent, I think, $12,000 on lawyers, and things were getting pretty tight. So we really had to win some of this business. And it's a common thing. I think big businesses try and scare startups off. It's, I've seen it happen with some very talented people, and it's pretty nerve-wracking. And we overcame that and won a bigger part of the business and went from there. But that was, as they say, squeaky bum time. But you have belief and you get through it.
Yeah.
And sort of I'll jump ahead a little bit, but at one stage you were talking to Saatchi's about merging or being acquired. So that's gone from...
Well, that was the irony of the whole situation. We worked for them. We left them. They tried to sue us into oblivion, and then they tried to come back and buy us and to do a reverse takeover of their Sydney office, which was an interesting time. And that eventually fell through because it just wasn't the right time and it wasn't the right partner.
Okay. Interesting. So I guess, we're talking about culture off air, but we're trying to build a great culture here at Found It. And knowing you for as long as I have, you started sort of with the 3 of you, but you got to 160 people pretty rapidly over the years. And I know that there was a lot of people that were either aspiring creatives, because creative was what you were all about. You didn't do billing, which was, I guess, semi sort of rare in the industry as far as, booking ads, etc. But how did you get people, aspiring creatives, to come and work for you, and also current creatives? What was the sort of culture that you were putting out to the market?
Yeah, good question. I mean, if you want the best creatives in the world, you've got to be doing the best creative in the world. And I think from the very beginning, Mark and Justin and I just wanted to do world-class work. We were based in Sydney, but we wanted to be a I guess a name on in the global landscape, and we just hustled and worked hard and try. You went to the award shows. We probably not something that we were totally focused on. Advertising, there can't be another industry on earth that likes to award itself as much as the advertising industry. It's unbelievable. And all these award shows just leeching money out of the companies for entries. But it is a good way of getting your work out there. And as soon as something's out there and seen and PR'd and wins awards, then of course other creative people can go, oh, they're doing interesting stuff. And I think that's probably, you can do it as a one-hit wonder, but the hard thing is to do that consistently. And there's a lot of places out there that we're doing, some pretty boring stuff, and then on the side trying to sneak one past the headmaster and win something for a ad that never really ran. But we always thought we've got to do things that are legitimate. We want to be known for a great batting average, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Great work across all of our clients, and some of that breakthrough work that gets up and gets out there into the world and people see, and really focused on that.
How did you, when you're going from, a team of 3 where each of you, what you're all working on day to day, to 160 people, how did your day and responsibilities have to change and evolve over time from, being on the tools to being the leader of the business?
Yeah, well, it's a common thing, isn't it? You're doing what you're good at, and that kicks things off. And next thing you know, you're a people manager.
Yep.
But I'm sure anybody who started a business and scaled it has experienced that at some stage. But I guess culture-wise was kind of interesting and it's about the physical space as well, because we went from a very small office to a small office, and it was always pretty scrappy. People used to walk in and we'd give them a box and they had to pull their chair out and make it. It was that kind of culture. And fend for yourself, entrepreneurial. We're all about doing provocative kind of thinking that was the right thing for clients. And that in a certain physical space can be felt and osmotically spread through the business. But we did realize when we started having to get more and more places to fill, we were in this big old warehouse in Redfern, and we kept renting spaces all through it. And we realized that we had to sort of nail down what we wanted to be culturally. I mean, we all knew.
Yeah.
And Fabio Barasti, who joined us as a head of planning, he came on and actually solidified it in a strategic document that we could go, okay, this is what we stand for. We stand for provocative thinking. And we can talk to staff and go, have we made provocative ideas happen this year or this week, or here's what we do. And so everybody walks in every day going, this is what I'm here to do. And that's probably the single biggest learning, I think, over the years about culture. If people know what they're there to do and they believe in what you're trying to achieve together, then that's pretty good impetus for a business.
And I guess jumping ahead to Accenture, you'd had many discussions over the years with traditional advertising agencies that would, I guess, be a natural fit, you would think, from the outside, that you'd either merge or partner with moving forward. But Accenture, and now Accenture Song, is probably a little bit left of field. What sort of drew you to them? And I recall you saying that they were culture first and didn't really even discuss the price or what have you. They wanted to talk to you about culture before then. So was that a big sort of positive thing for you, Justin and Mark, to talk about?
Massively. And we'd always tried to sort of redefine what you could do within that industry. We were making TV shows, films, creating products, all that sort of thing, when at that time most big agencies were focused solely on, clipping their ticket on making the creative work and sometimes the media. So we just thought, I mean, the industry's got to keep evolving, and you've got to do the right thing by your people. I mean, we did have a lot of people by that stage across Sydney and Melbourne, and you know, when you're three people around a table in a really scrappy sort of situation, you're pretty grateful for anyone that turns up and works their guts out to help what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, help their own career. But, you know, that sense of gratefulness never goes away, even if you've got 100, 120, 30, 40, whatever. Every single person comes up and it's hard work and it's subjective stuff a lot of the time, and there's a lot of hours, and you want to do the right thing by those people. And we'd had approaches in the past, one from Saatchi, and then we were potentially doing a sort of a Pan-Pacific network in the Omnicom group with Goodby Silverstein, who are a fantastic agency in San Francisco. And then I think we got to 10 years and thought we can't keep running like we are. You know, you do everything when you're a founder.
Yeah.
Everything from the IT to buying the toilet paper to getting out the next campaign for a major client. And we realized that we did want to go to the next level, and that wasn't going to be just by staying who we were. And we did all the usual talks with the holding groups, and it was completely uninspiring. They were all saying, well, you're just going to be one of a roster of agencies so we can get around a certain client at pitch time. So one of us will win it. And then here's the sort of figures you got to hit. And then you'll make this much money, and here's the figure. And then so we cast the net a lot wider. We went and spoke to lots of different people like Vice Magazine, who were setting up different things. They were probably a bit ahead of where they were at in terms of their marketing and advertising offering. And the consultants, they were really interesting because they had so much sway in terms, they really had a good foothold in digital transformation of the big clients. But they didn't have a say with the CMO. I mean, they might be in with the CEO, and it's all about sort of controlling what that C-suite of any major client, you know, the decisions that are being made. And so, yeah, we started a discussion with them, and the first thing that they actually said to us was, how can you preserve your culture? There was no mention of figures or any money that first meeting. It was all about, how have you managed to grow this culture? How can we preserve it?
Wow.
And I mean, nothing's ever perfect after an acquisition, but to hear that at the first meeting was like, okay, this is going to be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And where did you sort of take it from there? What was the sort of time from the initial discussion to sort of have everyone moved in, and what did that look like on day one? I remember you said there was a funny story about beer fridges being locked as a bit of a snag.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they had 500,000 people globally at that stage, and we were a pimple on their bum sort of thing. But to run that size business, you've got to have procedures and,
of course, yeah,
you know, all the stuff that, you know, we do organically in a way. But and one of them was, we're going to you have to lock your beer fridge until 5 p.m. And someone, and we said no. And then someone from Accenture actually locked the beer fridge, and then someone found some bolt cutters, and it was resolved amicably in the end. But, you know, we're adults, we can have those conversations. And, but yeah, look, we went immediately on the Accenture system. So we had quite a time where it just felt like business as usual, with the support of this amazing tech company in the background, and the kind of things that they were doing with, you know, building the global e-commerce sites for Samsung, for example, and having access to those kinds of people. It actually did make the offering in the market completely new.
And what did the integration look like? So you've done the deal, they've acquired the business, and then how did they go forward in terms of integrating their systems, procedures, people inside of your business as well, to make sure that they understood what they'd acquired?
What
did it change rapidly overnight, or was it something that they did?
It wasn't so much overnight, and I think for them it was sort of interesting having a business like ours, which was just full of rat bags, and, you know, sort of interesting thinkers, to And so, yeah, anyone who turned up with a Microsoft computer, we knew it was from Accenture. But in general, some people really got it and figured out, oh, they can help us with this side of the business. And then there's another side of it was the way we bill was very different to how a consultancy bills, and getting all of that kind of back end was, I think, much more difficult than what we would have seen on the creative side of things. Our partner, Mark Green, he's now the CEO of Droga 5, which is what the Monkeys has been renamed. He's in New York, and he's the global CEO of that. And he was much more involved in how do we properly integrate these things? Yeah, not easy. And you've then got to ask, 14 people all the way to New York if you want a glass of water.
Yeah.
I think really that it's about the speed of decision making as well. When you're used to your success and failure depends on how fast you can make a decision and how successful you can make it.
Totally.
Or not. And then you want to sign a lease on a new place, and you've got to go through all these procedures, and by the time it comes back to you, the place is gone, and so you've got to get used to a different system.
When did you know it was the right time to go from being just a Sydney-based or single office into having a Melbourne site as well?
Well, we'd always wanted to expand. I mean, there's so many brilliant people out there, and friends of ours from Melbourne and New Zealand as well that we'd spoken to about setting up the Monkeys in those places. And we were fairly advanced with the Melbourne stuff, and then the deal happened, and it gave us the money to set it up properly.
Yeah,
and it means those guys could set it up with a salary instead of bootstrapping it. So that happened pretty quickly, and that was great. And they grew very quickly. And it's still a very successful business going on down there. And what was fantastic is how another place interprets your culture and makes it their own.
Yeah.
So it was still really, core stuff around provocative thinking, just doing the right thing by clients. And they were doing it in their own way. And it was just such a great thing to see your culture interpreted by such brilliant people.
Yeah. Give us one creative that you're most proud of, if you can name one, of something that you did over that time, and then one creative that you thought was amazing but never actually seen the light of day.
I should have done some research on this. I mean,
just to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the Opera House things in 2010, we did a thing for the Opera House. Actually, Justin was running that, and this beautiful spot to Nick Cave's The Ship Song. And years later, I think it was the end of 2023, we had Tim Minchin write a song about the Opera House and what it meant. It's a symbol of rebel creativity in a world that's trying to make everything the same. And we same client, Steve the client from Opera House. And I think those sort of two things went, they were such big moments in our business. And it's nice to look back, and the Tim Minchin one at the end of 2023 was really a great thing to be part of. He's a genius. It was an absolute gift to be working with him on that. What else? I can't.
Look, I mean, from my family's perspective, they always know you for doing
the lamb
stuff. Looking forward to that each year.
What was the lamb one?
So Australia Day was always partnering, I think, initially with a famous footballer.
Yeah, Sam Kekovich.
Yeah.
So they'd been doing that with a brilliant agency called BMF that had been doing that for years with Sam Kekovich, and he was doing his rants about Aussie lamb. And then we won the business, I can't remember how long ago, but I think we've done 12 or 14 of them now. It's and they're doing them again this year. I know they've just shot the latest one. But that was a lot of fun. The first one was Richie's Barbecue. Yes. When Richie couldn't commentate, Richie Benno couldn't commentate the Australia Day one dayer. So he had a barbecue over at his place, and he invited famous Australians across the eras. And that that carried on. That was a challenge every year, and it was such good fun, and created some cultural moments, which we were always trying to do.
Absolutely, that's the one I remember the best amongst many others. But you also won a swag of awards. What was your sort of most satisfying award? I guess if you're looking at sort of Cannes or even in Australia.
Hard to say.
There are many.
Like I say, advertising is just so full of awards for stuff that may or may never impact anything. So to win awards for things like, the Opera House thing like that we did with Tim, that was a Grand Prix at Cannes, and it also made global news, and it was, played a lot here and all across the press here, and to win awards for things that really mean something to people, I think probably they're the most satisfying ones. Or the lamb stuff, when you go to a barbecue and people ask you what you do, or a cabbie asks you what you do, and you're advertising, what would I have seen? And you can point to the people know the lamb ads, then sometimes they can recite them, which is pretty weird. But you're winning awards for things that actually impact people and people love and has helped that client are definitely the most satisfying.
And also, congratulations, you were recently put into the Hall of Fame, you and Justin as well, for the award side of things, and Greenie for, was that Ad News? Hall of Fame?
Well, that was, I think we really should have all three been Hall of Fame for both, but that's the enduring creative and business divide in advertising. But can
you tell us a little bit about award? And obviously it was the way that you started your career, and you're pretty passionate about helping the next round of creatives get into the advertising industry. Can you tell us a little bit about award, and also any tips for aspiring creatives about what they could think about getting in, as you did many years ago?
Absolutely. And this is something, I'm from a family of builders and practical people, and I didn't really know what was out there. And so award is an organisation, Australian Writers and Art Directors Association, and a fantastic not-for-profit who run everything from award school. So if you're a junior creative and you start thinking, can I think of silly stuff and people pay me for it? That's what you do. You do award school, which is a 3-month course that's run by, you get, I think it's twice a week, you get a lecture, and then you have a tutorial which you turn up to, and that will be a creative team or some creatives from different agencies that you go into, and they critique your work and help you get better. And from there you can start looking at getting a job in the industry. And so that was something I did. And I mean, if someone hadn't told me about that, I would have no clue. So I met a creative director, they pointed me towards that. I did that. I eventually got hired by that creative director, which was fantastic. And it goes all the way through. They do everything from creative to account management, strategy and planning. And I still actually am a chair alongside Warren Brown of the creative leadership course that Award does every year. So that's for people who are going from being on the tools, like you were saying, Angus, to actual leadership in these businesses.
Fantastic. And I guess thank you for you'd advise people to get in touch with Award, obviously, if they wanted to become a creative.
Yeah, I'm sure I have a phone number somewhere. In fact, my notebook is stolen from Award.
And I guess you've now, having set up and exited a business, what are some tips you would give some aspiring entrepreneurs that are looking to set up any business on their sort of day one journey?
Wow, day one. We spoke about naivety a bit, didn't we? But yeah. We had some fantastic advice from our friend Warren Brown, who'd started BMF and had sort of done everything 10 years before us. And I remember taking him to lunch with Mark and Justin, and you feel like you're making mistakes left, right, and center when you set up a business.
Yeah.
And I think what he did, I mean, we went for lunch and he said, you know what, it's all mistakes. You always do mistakes. Just get some systems in place, believe in what you're doing. And that was a great bit of advice, just in terms of you don't have to be perfect. You just have to persevere
Totally.
and believe in what you do. And the other thing you said that day was don't lose your marriage over it. And that actually stuck because these things can take over your life, and you can very easily be, what's the word? You know, you just get obsessed with building your business.
Yeah.
And it's easy to neglect, you know, some more important things in your life. And all of us, Mark and Justin and I, have had very successful marriages, and we are very lucky to have had partners that have supported us. But I don't know, you have too, Ben.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're still married too, Angus.
Yeah.
So very well done. But yeah, it is. I guess it's just a lesson in not neglecting some other important things.
And did you put certain habits in play to make sure you gave yourself checks and balances, that you weren't over-indexing on business and personal? Do you just do certain things like planning ahead, certain time you got to have off and things like that in a year?
No,
No.
I didn't. And I just redlined for a long time, and it was a very stupid thing to do. So I would advise people to do what you're talking about, and just to think about creating space for yourself, because it's a 24-hour, 7 days a week thing. Doesn't matter what you do. And it wasn't until a few years in that we actually realized, okay, we've got to wind down at some point. I think Greenie found it the hardest. His wife would book him a place in Fiji with no reception. And then I'd get a phone call at 11 o'clock at night. Where are you? I'm on the end of a wharf. I've found it. just seeing what this Foxtel campaign's like. Are we good? You know, so it's that kind of obsession. You've got to be,
Totally.
It's going to take you there, but it's also, you've got to be careful with it.
Yeah. Good advice.
And a couple of quick questions before we wrap up. Where do you see sort of advertising heading in the next 5 years? If you were a new product, what would be the couple of things that you would think about doing to get noticed, and what's on the horizon for you now that you've sort of stepped away from Accenture?
Geez, a couple of big questions just thrown in there.
Just lazy questions at the end.
Where the industry's heading, it's very interesting. I think there's obviously, with the rise of AI and efficiencies everywhere, and you know, global economies now, meaning that you know, companies are contracting, and I feel like what's happening is the very best people are still making the work that matters to people, and the work that will help their clients leapfrog in terms of being noticed and getting their strategy and comms and tone exactly right. And on the other end, I think there's going to be a whole lot of slop that's completely, you know, just forgettable. And the industry is in a state of flux. You know, the cards are being thrown up in the air, and everyone's sort of figuring out where they're going to lie. The best thing is that great creative thinking or great lateral thinking around business problems is never going to go away. It's just the tools in which we use to employ it.
Yeah,
will change.
Fantastic.
What was the other side of your question?
The other side of the question, what's next on the horizon?
Oh, for me, well, you pulled me away from some pretty nice little 1-footers down at Kirko. Yeah, look, I've been doing a bit of consulting to clients and agencies, and knowing what it's like to set up and scale a business, that feels like a pretty big task again. But I think you'd have to have a different take on what this industry does. But I've been really enjoying helping clients and agencies, and there's just so many wonderful, exciting, smart, funny people out there in the industry that they are hell bent on helping their clients with the right stuff. It's amazing the kind of drive out there.
Fantastic. Scott, thank you so much for joining us today on DAYZERO. We really appreciate it, and look forward to keeping track of your new journey.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.